I just saw the clip of a floating Ferrari, and I'm like, what?
Yeah. It was pretty sketchy too, the way it was floating. It wasn't like all smooth, like
it was
like
kind of
Cirque du
like,
Soleil. It was all
like
clank,
bouncing
clank.
up. And, yeah,
I don't know.
but still, I think the production of something like that, like at a concert, I'd be pretty.
Well, what do you think? Do you think it was a real one? A shell? No motor? No. I mean,
if they cared about their fans' safety, well, then it would be a shell, which is still heavy.
Either
as
way,
hell.
yeah.
But
like if that dropped, I still think that's.
I mean, it would still hurt people, but
you know what? If it dropped on me and I made it out of there, with maybe like a broken leg or something, I would. I don't think I would be that mad because, like, well, at least I got it broken by a LaFerrari
At a Migos concert.
at a Migos concert.
yeah, I guess so.
I would be doing everything in my power to find a way to catapult up there, though, because I mean, if I could make it out of there with a LaFerrari.
It's kind of like those crazy ants that were attacking that wasp nest. Have you seen that?
No.
So there's these crazy like I don't know what kind of ants they are, but they made a bridge that went from the top of the roof to that wasp nest with a bunch of just ant bodies, and they were climbing over
my
and
God.
attacking that.
I've seen them do that. I just haven't
found it
seen
right here.
Yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. It's pretty cool.
I found it right.
So I can I'm thinking like
Human chain.
It's gonna be like like what is that World War Z?
Oh yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just straight up like Jordan being the first one out there, like starting it all up.
Here, let me pull it up right here. Just wait for this stupid ad. Whoa, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me right now?
Disgusting.
Isn't that crazy?
God,
I think that's a
Hey,
pretty.
how strong do you think that is? Like how, like if you walked up to it.
If I had like a glove made out of like iron or something, and it's all sealed up so that they can't
You
crawl
have to wear a
in.
bodysuit. I wouldn't even
Yeah.
let them give any chance to get to the skin.
Yeah, dude.
But
Man,
dude, that's all just ant bodies.
That's
like making that whole thing.
that's so
disgusting.
ridiculous, man.
Looking
Well,
like your hair, dude.
hey man, hey man. It's a long-term process. We're good. Yeah, phones are muted.
Are
Man.
you ready? Remember, you had clap, so we can. That clap really did help sync everything up.
Okay.
I can
Did it?
see it.
Okay, for
Yeah,
sure.
but then it's weird that we have a weird clap in the beginning of our.
Maybe it could become a trademark.
Well, no, I mean, it could be.
All right, let's start this.
It could be before you start. Just clap and then maybe take a moment. And
You just
then-
threw him off. Now he's gonna see
Yeah,
the
yeah.
first
We're
one.
gonna have like multiple claps.
All right. Well, this is the official first clap right here. Damn. Good luck. Good luck being synced, Brian. All right, one more. Well, just for good measure. There you go. All right, but leave that first one in there. Just to make it a little harder on you, just to challenge you a little bit. Yeah. So, anyways, so Drake and Migos had a LaFerrari floating over people, and
Yeah.
that's pretty gnarly, I must say. How pissed off do you think that the CEO of Ferrari is? Because everybody knows the guy with the LaFerrari. It's not like you could just be super rich and go and buy one. Like the CEO, I pulled up a quote. He actually said, anyone who wants to own a LaFerrari should already have 20 to 30 Ferraris in his collection.
Oh my gosh.
So I mean, even with like the lower scale Ferraris, that's still a grip of money, you know. And so for these guys to just have a concert and they're like, smoking a joint, and they're like, hey, it'd be really cool if we just floated a Ferrari over our fans.
And not just any Ferrari, a LaFerrari.
Yeah. But then that's why I'm thinking it's like probably maybe a replica of some sort or like a shell. Because I don't know. That's crazy to me. I mean,
Well,
I know they're balling, but are they balling?
Oh, they're balling.
it's Drake.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's Migos.
Yeah,
So-
they're balling hard.
Yeah. True.
And when you're balling that hard, you like kind of have a little bit of an ego, and so I can't see them just saying like, "Hey, let's have a fake one," because what if somebody finds out it's fake?
Yeah.
Well,
They'll be
here's
like-
the alternative to your question, or an alternate question to your question. The used market for super vehicles, hyper vehicles is also a thing, right?
True.
And that's usually how I feel celebrities would acquire most of these kinds of cars, right? I've seen like P1s go on sale in the used market.
Yeah.
Though,
Well, no,
but maybe the new ones get like, you know, given to certain people at a time when they get ordered, and then for whatever reason, maybe the owner.
Well, do you think
moves
they
on from
actually
it?
they own it, or are they borrowing it from someone who owns one?
I don't know, man. What insurance do you give
know,
someone
exactly.
to borrow a LaFerrari and then float it?
Above a bunch of people who you would have to cover.
That just sounds that just
Indiscriminately,
sounds
by the
dangerous.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous. Like the amount of money that would just have to be just for the insurance part of this whole thing,
Yeah.
and then what has to go into carrying a full-on LaFerrari over and have it like dragged in the air all around the freaking.
And it's not as if they like had it on a platform and then they were having it
Yeah.
scaffolded over. It's like
it was
like,
dangling.
Yeah, dangling.
I don't know what to think if I was there. I think that'd be pretty cool. Then I'd also think, what if, you know, this thing drops on me? But if Drake and Migos are spitting fire, then I don't know. I don't know what I would be thinking.
I mean, if it drops, I'm hoping I'm not the one directly underneath it. I maybe get a little injured so I can get a little money from it.
I would settle for the actual LaFerrari.
Really?
Yeah.
Guys, it's all good. Just give me the car.
Yeah, exactly.
That would make for a pretty cool story.
I
So
got it.
Jordan, how'd you get this LaFerrari? Well, you see, it kind of fell on me at a Drake and Migos concert.
You see this
It's
cast here?
damaged. I can't fix it. I got one. I can't afford to fix it.
It's just sitting in my driveway.
Collector's edition.
I'm trying to flex. I'm trying to bring some girls over, and they just see a broken Ferrari. And I'm trying to use that as my sell piece.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh man, that's hilarious. Wow. So, anyways, episode 3, guys.
Yes,
We are getting pretty consistent in this game. Huh?
I guess so. Yeah. What? We've been doing it 3 consecutive weeks so far now.
Yeah, we made it.
Yeah, we made it, Mama. We made it. Okay, so how's everyone doing?
Good.
Not too
Been
bad.
busy.
Pretty good.
All right. So, as everybody knows, for Jada Toys, we are a collector-based company. Everything is about, you know, people being able to build out a collection in no matter what the genre of cars are.
Or figures.
Or figures also. You know, I keep on forgetting that because I'm just a stupid car guy. That's all I think about. But
That doesn't like Honda Civics.
Yeah.
you know, okay. The Civic Type R that will be dropping soon, by the way. The Civic Type R. Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that. I don't know. They'll skip over that. My bad. Anyways, the Civic Type R is cool. The fact that it's hatchback is cool. I think personally, I just have a problem with front wheel drive cars, and then also personally too, I think I'm attaching a bad stigma of Honda drivers at car meets. You know that it's kind of unfair. You know, I feel like, you know, every time I go to a car meet, there's some dude in a Honda Civic that looks like it's been chewed on by a bunch of squirrels or something, and it sounds kind of like a lawnmower.
Yeah.
And he's just trying to flex around all these GTRs and flex around. I mean, I guess that I'm unfairly attaching a bad stigma to it. So that could be it.
I have 2 things to say. The first one is, would you rather have that or a Mustang spinning out of control? And 2, Honda Civics in general, I think, just have a lot of history to them.
They do have a lot of heritage and history.
I mean, they've come a long way. I grew up in the era where Battle of the Imports was big, and I'm not sure if you guys know what that is.
I have no idea what that is.
Killing me.
Showing your age.
Yeah, I know.
your age.
But,
Millennials here.
I was there when Stefan Papadakis broke into the 9s, I believe, with a Honda Civic front wheel drive.
Maybe we're showing our age.
Yeah. I mean, there's even like Lisa Kubo, who was a really popular driver for Honda and one of the first girl racers, I believe, back in the day. I mean, this was the heyday of street racing, and they started this whole thing called Battle of the Imports, where it was all import cars racing each other at different racetracks around where was it? I forget. Palmdale, I believe, was they had it at I don't know, a bunch of other places, but it was a cool event, legal street racing kind of thing.
Okay, so
they
they
got
would
pretty
pave the
hardcore, but
city
yeah,
zone.
man, they were doing some crazy stuff with these little four bangers. And yeah, you gain a respect for the Hondas when you see that stuff happening. I mean, they're beating out V8s at one point.
And was this in like a drag race type
Yeah.
street race? Okay, I see.
Yep.
Yeah. I admit that it's probably unfair.
You have to
Stick
you
that
have
I'm
to
attaching
experience
to it.
VTech also. I don't know if you've experienced VTech.
I've only seen people who make fun of it on Instagram.
It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. I have to say, like, when you're cruising on a street, for example, and you're in a really powerful car, say speed limit's 40, 45 miles, it takes you no time at all in said powerful car to hit that before you have to let off. Because any faster and you're probably getting pulled over, your car's getting impounded or something, right? Just because it has the capacity or capability to be able to do that. But you get into something like a four-banger, like a Civic or whatever, even a Honda S2000, that's still pretty quick. But there's something fun about just, foot all the way down and you're hitting the rev limiter, yet you're only doing like 30. I feel like that would be pretty fun. Going through the gears, and you can still go because I don't know. It sounds bad, but it sounds fun also.
So you're redlining at like 30 miles per hour down here.
Yeah, it's great. Sounds great.
VTech.
Yeah,
I have not experienced the VTech.
well, you
thing
should.
yet.
It's fun.
Okay, I have a couple friends who have some Honda SI, so maybe I'll give it a try sometime.
Yeah, yeah.
And also to answer your question, I would rather be at a car meet and see a Mustang spin out because those videos are always hilarious.
I'm just making sure I'm getting out the way.
Oh yeah. Well, that actually segues into a perfect topic. Speaking of imports, on social media, I have a lot of fans who are always commenting, saying, "Hey, well, so when are the import racers coming back? Bring back the import racer line." And I keep on telling them, we kind of do have that in the form of our JDM tuners line. So can we maybe shed some backstory onto why there's no need for us to bring back import racer? We'll go into more of the details of that. We'll just answer some of their questions.
I think, you nail it.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go. Import Racer, or JDM Tuners rather, is essentially a reincarnation of Import Racer to an extent.
Well, yeah. Okay, so you can look at it in a couple different ways. Import Racer originally was a collaboration with Import Racer magazine, which is now a defunct magazine. So now that we don't want to reuse that name because it's actually the name of a magazine. Like back in the day when we were working with the Dub magazine, we had Dub City, and then now we are we moved on from Dub City and are doing other things. But during that time, associating ourselves with the hot magazines at the time was the big thing to do. And Import Racer, was the magazine that we associated with. So that's why we don't reuse that name right now, because it was associated with the magazine.
Right. So that's the name
Yeah.
aspect of it.
Right.
But as far as like the offerings?
Oh, yeah. So the offerings now, Import Racer was basically the, what we were seeing in the scene in Southern California and across the country at the time with the import compact car scene. And it was more of a kind of a United States USDM style import car. Then we went into Option D, which is more in tune with the drifting scene that started around that time. And then JDM is more kind of the authentic JDM style that's coming from out of Japan. So we're trying to be more in tune with how they fix cars up and modify cars, with a little bit of an American flair to it. So if you look at it that way, yeah, they are separate styles in Import Racer, Option D, and JDM. But the truth of the matter is, there's no room for all three of those styles to be on shelf at the same time because of how small the retail shelf is for us. So we will bring JDM as, JDM is not just the old school Japanese fixed up cars. It's going to be a mix of all of those different genres.
I see.
Of import cars.
And so, I mean, and to add to that point too, so I wouldn't say that there's no need to bring back, import race. I think there's always going to be a need to bring something like that back because, when like nostalgia is a very big thing, right? We've been talking about that for last few episodes here and there, but like to the reincarnation point. But also to encompass, the different looks within the import scene. I think that's very nicely represented in the JDM Tuners line.
Yeah, you'll get a taste of everything inside the JDM Tuners line for sure. But if you're looking for something specifically import racer, Option D, there might be a little bit something coming out for you next year.
Ooh,
yeah. I mean,
I'm curious.
If you're a fan of Jada toys, next year is a big year for us. It's a milestone, definitely.
it's a milestone year. Yeah.
So I guess you can look forward to something happening.
We'll have some announcements coming soon.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that also segues into some pretty interesting things too for some of our other lines. So are we able to we'll talk about some of the wave plans for JDM Tuners, Gig Time Muscle, Hollywood Rides, Fast and Furious. Well, what are some things that people can expect that we are allowed to talk about?
Well, one of the things that we can talk about are, we're for JDM Tuners, it's a pretty new line for us. What has been now about a year?
A little over.
Really?
Yeah, a little bit over a year now
okay.
since we released.
Yeah.
And we have a bunch of new castings, some for you hardcore, old school JDM fans that'll be coming out. So that's something to look forward to.
And it kind of seems like if the old school style of JDM, it's really starting to make a comeback. Huh?
It's with all the old school themed shows, like car shows, coming out, and even that one series where they build JDM cars. It's an online series. I forget what it's called. There's a lot of traction with old school vehicles right now, especially the old school JDM stuff because they're classic looking. They're the style that they'll fix them up with, the rims really unique. They're totally different from what a lot of the modern rims look like. And actually, I'm seeing a lot of modern rims that are starting to take cues from the old school Japanese rims and use it in their designs. So
what do you notice from old to new that what jumps out at you immediately? Exactly.
Well, there's a old school JDM rim that we really like. It's a 4-spoke. Today, you don't really see a lot of 4-spoke wheels.
Right.
But I just saw one, a new design, similar in shape as the old school one, but definitely, but it's a lot larger rim because old school rims are usually around the 13, 14 inch range. This one was probably, I don't know, I think it's in the at least 17 inch. But it's the same shape, or same 4-spoke and the same kind of design. You can see the cues from the old school rim to this new one.
I think we're in a pretty unique era when it comes to modifying vehicles, specifically your import vehicles, because we're kind of in this time frame of imports making a comeback, right, into the scene and really kind of taking over again. But you also combine that with older JDM vehicles, and living in this day and age, I think we have so many creative people. Like you look at just the people in our building, like it's not the easiest thing to create a new vehicle design or new wheel design when a lot of things have already been done.
Yeah, to make it still fresh, you
Right.
know?
But the interesting thing is now for the last few years, we've been seeing companies like Rocket Bunny, Liberty Walk, RWB kind of put their own imprint on what they like, regardless of what historically things should be, right? Like you would think, oh, a Ferrari or a Lamborghini should not be wearing a bolted-on wide body kit because it cheapens the car.
Sacrilegious.
Or, because that car is so expensive and whatnot. But here you go. You know, you have a lot of people that dig that look. And for the older JDM vehicles, whether it's playing with like the color scheme, a motor swap, a new wheel design, I think nowadays we just see a lot of different creative takes that's still kind of refreshing and a nod back to maybe what it was, like a few years ago. I think it's always cool to see.
Well, even looking at what like Liberty Walk and Pandem does with their cars now, you can see the traces of the old school in there. And you can see their origins, where they came from. If you look at the old, Ken Marie Liberty Walk, you can see how that's the original style, but then they used cues from that to make their new
inspiration, drawing inspiration from vehicles of the past, really, and translating it into what it is, what it would be in today's modern society. I think that's really cool. So, yeah, it's, I don't know. You kind of look at it and kind of what Mike highlighted earlier, where you kind of have crossovers in these markets now, right? You can take an American muscle car and put a Japanese wheel on it, and boom, there's your crossover, and it looks good.
Yeah.
Like now it's cool, but years ago you would have been crucified for it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was like you had two different shows. You wouldn't bring a muscle car into a JDM or a Japanese import show.
Yeah.
But now there's so much crossover. Even with the body kits, they're taking fender flares that are typically done on a Japanese car and putting them on a Mustang, and it's looking really good.
Yeah, Challengers, you name it. Like, and even trucks, like your pickup trucks.
John Sabal's Challenger with work wheels.
Yeah. But that didn't have a wide body kit bolted onto it, but he had it sitting on air suspension.
Dropped it with a really nice stance to it. I mean, it was simple, but it was groundbreaking at the same time.
Yeah. It's kind of like putting forth something that maybe not many people expect. And at that point, I think when you're talking about building your car or anything for that matter, it's your own personal touch, your own personal flair, regardless of what society thinks or what the community thinks, right? It's just kind of like, well, that's cool. I can respect the work and the creativity that went behind it. Though it might not necessarily be your style, you can still respect everything that went behind the build.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, it's that fine line between passion of having being an artist. It takes passion, but then also there's a lot of science behind it too of how you will pull this off.
That brings up another weird thing about the whole custom car scene. It's like when people talk bad about how someone fixed up their car. Like to me, that's just disrespectful. I don't care how good it looks in my eyes or how bad it looks in my eyes. I would never say something bad about someone else's car because to them their car looks awesome.
Yeah,
and you only do it for yourself.
Right.
I'm not. I'm not fixing up my car the way I'm fixing it up because I'm trying to impress you. I'm doing it because it's what I like.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No. So it's like if I were to, it's just like saying that you have bad taste. I'm not gonna, that's just disrespectful.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, all I was gonna say is it's a respect thing, and when you want to tie it back into who we are as a company and visually what we do, Jada has a certain style. We've had our certain style for the last almost 20 years. And not everyone's gonna like that style, right? They might gravitate towards something else, but that's who we are. That's our DNA, and that's what we put into everything that we produce.
Yeah.
Right. So at the end of the day, kind of bringing it back to the car scene, I'm on the same boat. Like I wouldn't want to go up, in a show, look at a car, and even though it doesn't sit well, like visually, but it's almost looking at the intricacies of the build, maybe admiring the paint job, or if you really look at like the engine bay, the interior, maybe the suspension, down to the way they display their vehicle. Because sometimes these guys that display their vehicles, they have, 2 wheels off. They have mirrors laid on the ground to show like the underbody, the chassis of the car, right? Like little things that you can find to really, really appreciate everything, the time and effort that went behind the build, I think is probably what's more important to us. And then you're able to appreciate a little bit more.
Even going down to the Pep Boy builds, guys, like, you just get as many accessories that you can afford out of Pep Boys and throw them on. There's those guys that are out there too.
I was just there yesterday.
Yeah. So I mean, but the thing is it may not be my style, but then as long as those guys who are driving it are happy with it, it's more power to them.
The other thing to consider too, in the whole grand scheme of, I think when you're talking about the car culture, car community, is you have a various age range. You have people, quote unquote, veterans that have been doing this for some time, so they know what goes on, what to do when it comes to actual legitimate car build, where they can take home awards, where they can get these publications and things like that. And then you have people that are kind of in the middle that have been in it for, a few years, that are starting to get the hang of it. Maybe financially they're not there yet. Maybe they don't have the connections. And then you have the people that are just starting to get into it, doing their research or just doing anything they can to partake in the event itself and just learning. So you have this wide range of just people. And at the end of the day, we're all coming together for one thing, because we all love cars, right? And I don't know. I just think it's kind of shameful where when you're all in this community, right, and then you have people just kind of talking bad about one, where okay, so what? It doesn't fit your style. Kind of keep that to yourself, right? There's no need to get into that at a car show. But
exactly, we're supposed to come together. We'll leave all that tribalism at home because it just creates bad vibes overall.
But then there's also a kind of a line you don't cross though when at the car shows. You can give them respect, but you also have to, not only the person but the vehicle that's on display.
Yeah,
I mean, and I have a story that's going to go along with this.
Okay. Story time.
You don't go to a car show and look at a car and start touching it.
Oh,
yeah.
If the car door is open, you don't go jump in it and sit in it.
You got to have some audacity.
We're at the last Autocon that we did. We had a bunch of Fast and Furious cars, and we had the Fleet line. I mean, given it had no doors, right?
Yeah.
And we had people standing around and making sure that people don't sit in it. I mean, it's not your car. What makes you think that you can just jump in it and start taking pictures in it, right?
Yeah.
So it was funny. One dude jumps in. I'm like, I'm sorry, you can't sit in this. And he gets out. Then he turns around to me. He's all, I'm a legend in the race community. This is not even a race car. You should give me more respect. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, the guy who built this car is a legend.
Yeah.
This Dennis McCarthy guy is a legend in the Hollywood scene.
Yeah.
And he's built some major real race cars as well.
Yeah.
This guy, I've never seen him before in my life. I don't know his name. But he said, you got to respect me, I'm like, first off, you're just jumping into someone's car that you don't even know.
Yeah.
And you think you can just sit in the seat and start taking pictures? I'm like, that's disrespect.
Yeah.
For
sure.
You gotta. There's etiquette there, right? Isn't there? Shouldn't you have some kind of etiquette when you go to these car shows?
Yeah, but you don't
not a
open
free-for-all.
another man's fridge,
Yeah. I mean, unless you're homies. I mean, I don't mind. You come over my house, dude. Grab whatever you want in the fridge. I don't care.
But if I don't know you like that,
Nah.
don't be touching my fridge.
It ain't going down.
You know what I mean? But it's there's there's respect for the cars, respect for the builders,
Of course.
and then the respect for the show as well. It just makes it all better once if everyone just kind of follows those guidelines. I think the shows will be a lot better and a lot less headache.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that kind of segues into an interesting talk of some car etiquette. And so,
Yeah.
what are things that you should not do at a car meet?
At a car meet or
Car meet, car show,
I mean,
whatever. Just another person's build overall. So what are some things that you dare not do?
Burnouts.
I mean, that kind of ruins it for everyone. Every car show or car meet has these knuckleheads that can ruin it for everyone.
There's always that one person.
Yeah.
Like, without a doubt, always. And it baffles me, like when I sometimes I try to go into the mind of maybe somebody else that's like doing it, and it frustrates me. So I don't even try anymore. At least I try not to try. But I just don't understand. How can you go to an event or a gathering of something like that to kind of celebrate what everybody loves with cars, and whether you're seeing friends or you're meeting people for the first time, why do you want to make that impression there? It doesn't make sense to me. Like, why?
Not only that, like then the police take notice.
Yeah, you're ruining it for
You're
everybody.
ruining it for everyone. If it's like a monthly meet, police will be there the next time and shut it down. And what are you going to just move it around all the time? And just because a couple knuckleheads? I mean, yeah, that's going to happen because these guys are just ruining it for everyone. It sucks.
Yeah. And at the end of the day, I think that's what kind of gives it a bad rap. Like, there's just no reason for doing that. To show off, I can't think of any other reason. To look how cool my car is. It can produce tire smoke.
Yeah, but I mean, some shows have sanctioned like events when they do that.
Yeah,
which is cool. I mean, do it then, but then don't be the one that's going out there doing donuts in the middle of the parking lot when everyone's standing around.
Yeah.
Just for some
Attention.
Instagram posts.
Especially if you're a Mustang driver.
That's dangerous. I value I
offense.
value my life, so and my car.
You are going to have to
So-
put a clip of that on the pod.
People getting
Insert clip now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Yeah, but as far as etiquette is concerned, that's number one, right? And for me, the respect thing is always going to be there. I don't. You're not going to catch me saying, like blatantly, just saying, "Oh, I'm not feeling that car," or maybe he or she should have done this way. Because at the end of the day, you just got to respect the vision or situation that the builder is in and whatnot. Just kind of keep that to yourself. We're all there for a good time anyway, regardless of what the car is. At the end of the day, for me at least, it's always going to be about the people and the relationships that you're able to make, right? Because you never know when you're going to see these guys again.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
bam.
I think a pet peeve of mine every time I go to a car meet is seeing somebody will sit down or lean on someone's car and it's not theirs.
Yeah.
That just makes me cringe. I can't stand that.
What if it's a model?
I
And his
don't
name is Daryl.
Is he in his Daisy Dukes?
I promise I wash my hands and everything.
But yeah, no, you're right. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like you don't jump into someone's car and just start taking pictures in it. There's boundaries. You have to respect people's space. It may not be you respect a person's personal space and give some space to that car too.
Definitely. All right. So oh well, that was a huge tangent, but I'm cool.
It was a fun tangent. I think it's also something I feel that doesn't get addressed nearly as much as it should.
Somebody has to say it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you're talking about like automotive events, whether that's a local meet that's unofficial or an official show at a venue. Granted, at a venue, it's more controlled, it's more organized. That stuff is less likely to happen. But when you're talking about an unofficial like, gathering, where people know and they show up willingly, understanding the consequences that could happen if that meet gets cut off by police officers, they run the risk of maybe getting a few tickets here and there. I don't know.
Yeah.
For that crowd, I think this applies more too. And I think, I don't know, I think the community just has to kind of rally around the same message. And but it's just hard because, like I said, there's always going to be that one person.
Yeah.
Please don't be that one person.
Yeah, well, don't be a sociopath, please.
Yeah.
So, as far as some of our other wave plans, how about for Big Time Muscle?
Big Time Muscle is our ongoing line. We do have a couple new castings that are in the works right now. There's so many more things that we can do with that line. It's ridiculous.
Isn't that incredible though? We're going on.
I think wave 159.
Wave 159. Yeah. So like what you're talking about, 124.
Just for overall.
Yeah. So
whatever stands out to you.
Yeah. And what? So 6 cars per wave, or 4 cars per wave. That's a lot of cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, there's things. We can't really talk about exactly what we're doing yet because not all of it is 100% approved. So I can't tell you what's happening yet until they are approved. But there's more stuff coming down the pipeline.
All right. Well, that's helping to build some anticipation for everybody else who will be listening to this.
We have a lot of cool things going on. Actually.
Yeah.
I just feel as a company. Whether that's the product side or the marketing side, we all work hand in hand together anyway.
Yeah.
But we have quite a bit actually.
Well, and at this point, right now, we're in mid-August.
Yeah.
Right. We're preparing for our September shows. So if you ask us that same question after the September or maybe in October, we probably have more information for you because these shows that we're doing in September. We're going to be meeting with a lot of buyers, meeting with a lot of our licensors. They're going to give us a lot of approvals. We're going to get a lot of feedback from the buyers saying, oh, yeah, let's move forward with this. So once those things are all solidified, then we'll be able to say, hey, yeah, this is going to be coming out. This is something new that's going to be happening. So right now we're ramping up for these meetings, and there's a lot of cool concepts in the works. Once we get done with these meetings, ask us that question later, and then we'll have a lot more news for you guys.
Okay, sweet. I'll be sure to highlight that one.
Yeah.
So, a relatively new line for Jada Toys is our Hollywood Rides line.
Mm-hmm.
So, could you both take us through some of the seeds that are planting this new this new idea and concept that we're going down, as far as for Hollywood Rides.
Yeah.
Well, why is it not just because I feel like with Hollywood Rides, it's blending the car side of us with the figure side of us, but then also it's that perfect mix of pop culture as well, and we're able to capture that, which is our specialty here for Jada Toys. And so, could we maybe have like an overview of what Hollywood Rides is?
Yeah. I think to provide a little bit of context as to what Hollywood Rides is, I think the message for that, or the underlying foundation, is kind of exactly how you said, right? Mm-hmm. For the past almost 20 years, Jada has been very well known as, one of the world's top manufacturer and die-cast and radio-controlled vehicles. That is our DNA in what we do. That is our core competency, right? And we've broken into the pop culture segment, a few years ago with our figural offerings, and injected a little bit of our DNA into that and working with diecast. And now Hollywood Rides is born, and because you're combining the two, you're combining our core competency in diecast vehicles with the figural side of it. And in most cases, it's almost like a perfect match, because now when you're talking about, blockbuster films, iconic characters or vehicles, the first one that comes to mind, Batman. He's got various Batmobiles. He's got various looks. you kind of take our DNA and doing the vehicle and the figural, combining it. It just makes sense. And then for those that maybe don't necessarily have vehicles per se, like if you look at the entire Marvel lineup, right? Obviously, the superheroes within Marvel, like Captain America or maybe Iron Man or Black Panther.
Well, Iron Man is a little weird because we always get talked to about that. Like, he has an Audi or he has this. And he has
There was a
that.
guy on our Facebook. Well, there was a guy who left a comment on our Facebook saying, "I thought that Tony Stark was into nice cars." I'm like, damn, you're ruthless, bro.
That's pretty good. That's pretty funny.
Yeah. But, okay, so like when he's in the Iron Man suit, let me clarify, right?
Yes,
He
yeah.
doesn't need no Audi, right?
Okay, right.
He flies around in his suit. So then instead what we do for that is just kind of like, well, we call it inspired by. What would these characters, have as their vehicles, if in present day with their suits and or their powers and just kind of have that reflected into it.
Well, actually, it's a little, it's that part of it, but it's actually, if you look at the suit for Iron Man, for example, we looked at the details and then we looked at the cars that we have on in our library, and we noticed that the Camaro that we chose to be the Iron Man car had a lot of similar details. Mm-hmm. The shape of the lights were very similar to the shape of the eyes of Iron Man in his suit. There's a lot of rivets and a lot of like facets in the wide body version that we made, making it look very bulky, like it has armor. So that's why we chose the wide body Camaro that we designed in the past, because it had a lot of details that spoke to us that said Iron Man. The Lykan Hypersport has a lot of sharp angles, a lot of little things that made it look like the Black Panther suit. Mm-hmm. There's also the shape of the headlights. Same with the Spider-Man with the Ford GT. If you look at the headlights, the headlights are bigger, a little more round with a little bit of sharp edge at the corner, just like how Spider-Man's eyes are. So we made the headlights and put the black around it so it looked like the eyes. Those are the reasons why we chose those cars. We're not just picking any car and just slapping like logos and branding that says Iron Man or Spider-Man. We're trying to make the car look like an extension of the suit.
Interesting. Okay, I never thought of it like that
Yeah.
either.
Yeah, Mr. Man. That's why Iron Man drives a Camaro in our Hollywood rides line.
Yeah, exactly.
I need to find that comment and put it in there. I'll be sure to block out his screen. I don't want him to get mad at us.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, and so what are some of your favorite castings from Hollywood rides so far because of the movies that you guys are into? And what are some things that you kind of hope that we could acquire sometime or someday, I think that for me, my favorite one is probably the BVS Batmobile. Mm-hmm. And I'm a big fan of that one because for one thing,
Because the movie was great.
yes, the movie was great. I will die on my sword defending Batman versus Superman. That was DC. I feel like that was the best version of the DC movies and that type of tone and light. And probably the reason why that one is my favorite Batmobile is because I never liked the other type of Batmans who were, very, how Christian Bale, he was like, no killing. This Ben Affleck was like, I don't care. I'm killing all these dudes.
Yeah.
And in that first scene with Batmobile and BVS, I mean, man, he was turning people into cheese.
Yeah.
So I think that might be, one of my favorite ones. Also, I really like the Black Panther, like in Hypersport, because I feel like with Black Panther overall, the overall concept of him is that he's from this place that nobody else is from.
Yeah.
It's super rare. It's kind of like, a legendary place. And that kind of ties into the Lykan Hypersport because, that's a legendary car.
Wow, you're deep, dude.
Nobody, we're starting to get into
Well, that goes back to
philosophical,
that goes back to Mike's point of why certain cars were chosen for certain characters, right?
Yeah.
And that's just like
so if anything, you're deeper than me.
Well, because we were thinking about it from the very beginning,
Yeah, exactly.
But then, that's another, we never thought of it that part of it. So that's why I'm saying you're going pretty deep, because ours is just more superficial. It's all ours is just, we're just looking at it as design like details. Like even with the Spider-Man. So the Spider-Man on the 2017 Ford GT, it has that weird little bridge that goes across from the side of the car to the roof.
Yeah.
And that, when we first saw that almost reminded us of a web. That's kind of also a reason why we chose that, because it just looked like a web crossing over from one location to another.
And also, it's very sleek too. You know? And Spider-Man's suit is very sleek as well. You know?
Exactly. So I mean, it was we weren't thinking that deep. We were just more thinking superficial. Yeah, you're getting like really like
you see,
conceptual
ladies.
stuff.
You see, ladies, I'm deep. For our 5% of female fans,
I think you're making Gerald blush.
Look into my eyes real quick. Anyway,
might need to not be in the center of both of you guys.
Okay, I think I'll address the question. As far as my favorite, I think casting, I don't know. It has a nice span right now. I think when you're talking about historical and modern, right? When you're talking about, let's say, Transformers, we have the old Camaro, the 77 Camaro.
Yeah.
And when you're talking about, or when you're looking at the DC Bombshells lineup, there's a bunch of classic cars within that. And then you look at the Marvel inspired by vehicles, and you have newer vehicles like the Ford GT that we just talked about, the Lykan Hypersport. And then you have your fantasy, which are like the Batmobiles, right? So it's kind of hard to really pick one from the lot that kind of spans these different ranges. I think aesthetically, I really, really like the 2017 Ford GT.
Yeah.
Not only for the body lines of what that car is, but the design aesthetic that Mike and his team have been able to kind of put onto it with, the Spider-Man theme. If you look really closely throughout the entire, vehicle, you have like Spider-Man's webbing just intersecting through the car. It's really, really sleek looking. But I'm also a fan of the Justice League Batmobile. Of all the different Batmobiles that we offer, it might be a product of maybe, more so my age and in this time. But I gravitate more towards the design of that Batmobile because it looks much like the Ford GT. It's very sleek. It's not as bulky looking when you compare it to the Batmobiles of old. And I don't know why, but the first thing that came into my mind was the Tumbler.
Yeah.
Dude, the Tumbler's pretty rad though.
It is.
It is.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? As far as the overall shape, design of the car and things like that, I would have to say those two for those different reasons.
Interesting.
So for me, I'm kind of, for me it's easy. It's any of the Bombshell line.
Yeah.
The Bombshell line, we were given the characters which were already designed, right? And we were given the task of what cars would match with these characters. And we had to keep it era specific, so it was late 40s, early 50s, and the cars. Right now there is no hot rod line coming from Jada on the shelf right now, and this is allowing us to get these hot rods out. And we've got the Merc, we got a step side, we got the COE.
Yeah.
And to be able to design cars in that, like, I don't know what like that. This guy. You want
I'm just a mess.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, to design these cars with that bomber style look. Whether for the Harley, for her Mercury, I think they came out awesome. They look really good.
They really do.
To me, that is a perfect match of what we're capable of doing for vehicles and what we're capable of doing with figures, because the detail in the figures is amazing as well.
Yeah, like to reimagine them also in the 1940s era style of clothing too,
and to be able to execute it. I mean, they were already designed. Those, because we were able to get the license of the Bombshells, and they were already designed. We just being able to really capture those drawings and put them into a 3-dimensional form as a little die-cast figure was a challenge in itself. But then if besides those cars, one of the vehicles is not really in the Hollywood Rides line, but it is like a precursor to our Hollywood Rides, which is our Halo line.
Halo?
That's like years
back.
Yeah.
And I think this is what originally started the idea for Hollywood Rides. So what we did was we made, and they weren't die-cast, they were plastic, but they were about 2-inch articulated action figures. And it was Master Chief with a Warthog. The Warthog looked awesome. Master Chief was awesome. Real small, articulated. He stood great. I mean, this thing was awesome. This whole line. We did the Covenant. We did a bunch of the bad guys. But the execution of that line was awesome. I think that's one of my favorite Hollywood Ride-esque lines that we did. That we released 4 years ago now. I mean, I know we debuted it at Comic-Con maybe 5 years ago. More?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think that was maybe like 7.
Really?
Yeah.
It was a while ago because I remember I had to set up the booth by myself.
By yourself?
Yeah. Yep.
So imagine everything that you did,
Yeah.
but for the mock-up you did, but for the actual booth build, we had all of us there.
How did you manage that?
Yeah. It was. I don't know. Yeah, I just did it. You got to do what you got to do.
Be like Nike and just do it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, well, at least he didn't almost have to fight a security guard like me. I'll save that.
You don't know that.
I'll save that story for another day, guys. Well, and so stepping outside of Hollywood Rides, so what are some of your favorite castings that we've done overall?
We have a big library.
We have so much stuff.
Yeah.
We have a very big
It's
library.
huge. Yeah, I just actually went through our whole library of castings and, figuring out where everything is at and what we haven't used in a while and what we're using and adding in all the new castings that we're doing. But right now, I dig a lot of the old stuff, and I'm not trying to be, toot my own horn, but
Toot away.
This is our podcast.
A couple of the new castings. Well, for me, my favorite casting right now is probably the FT1 because of the stance is exactly the way we imagined it. With the fitment of the tires and the wheel well, the how high it is off the ground. I mean, we really worked hard on getting it the way we wanted to, and it came out great. That's probably one of my favorite castings as far as like it being the way we really wanted it to be. But the one casting I really, really like that it's more like, if I didn't even work on it and I saw it on the street, I'd be like, damn, I'm picking this up. Is one I can't talk about yet.
Oh, wow. Why are you going to do that? Why are you going to do that?
Damn, our Instagram is about to be bombarded. Just like, what car is he talking about?
Got me curious. For a second there, I kind of got mad.
Yeah, just cliffhanger. All right, so what about you, Daryl?
These are some tough questions. For this one, going back to our library just being so
vast.
Yeah, there's just so much to choose from. And I think with every introduction of a new line or brand, the JDM tuners, for example, you have the classic JDM vehicles that we're starting to do that maybe we might not have done in the past, like the Acura NSX.
Yeah.
That was designed by John Sabal.
Which I still can't figure out. Oh, well, the old one is definitely a JDM one,
Yes.
but for the new one, I still can't figure out where
we're gonna put
it should go. So we need people's help on that one.
Yeah.
So be sure to type that in and tell us where it should go.
Yeah.
Anyways.
But
sorry.
for clarity purposes, yes, I'm talking about the older NSX.
If we were to do that new NSX, where would it go?
But I love how that came out. you have the wide body fender flares, how low it sits. We have two versions of it, right?
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have the ducktail wing and we have the
GT
version
wing.
with a GT wing. Both equally great. And you also have, castings like the Datsun 510.
Shout out to John Sabal again.
Yeah, like he killed it with those designs. And when I see both of them together, it's like, wow. Like if I saw that, I for sure would want to buy it, even if I wasn't working here. But that's just within the JDM realm.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at Fast and Furious, Big Time Muscle, even
There's so much in Big Time Muscle.
Grand National,
Yeah.
has to be one of my
Yeah.
favorite ones. Like just how that came out, how we're able to really capture the authenticity of what that vehicle is, right? It would be really, really tough for me to choose. If you just gave me that Grand National 510 and NSX, it'd be tough for me to choose. But for purpose of the question, if you really, really made me choose, I would lean. I'm a JDM fanboy at heart. I have to go with the Acura NSX.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a good choice. I think for me,
Veneno.
the Veneno.
It's gotta be
some of
Is
that.
that something?
You got to put some of that Italian flair into it, and you got to do this. You got to do the Veneno.
Mwah.
Yeah, the Veneno. It's pretty gnarly. It's just the most ridiculous car that you'll ever
Right,
see on
yeah.
Earth.
Oh, that's one of the ones that we were really working on to make sure that it was, because that one has to sit low.
Yeah,
Because that sucker is it's a straight up race
scraping
car.
all
Yeah.
the time.
Yep.
Well, actually, I really enjoy the Performante. I really like the Italian flags that
Yeah,
you guys
yeah.
had put on there too. It's very accurate.
Yeah.
But so somewhere in between the Performante, but I also really enjoy the 71 Hakosuka.
Oh,
I
yeah.
really like that.
I
one.
think, yeah. And I,
particularly on the JDM tuners line
yeah,
too.
yeah. Oh, I think
Throw that in there for me as well.
Yeah, yeah,
You
me
guys
too.
already.
I mean-
yeah, I'm a GTR
Yeah.
Skyline lover.
Yeah, and the 64 scale one is probably one of my favorite 64s of that model is pretty nice. It came out really, really good. Actually, it should be hitting shelves now.
Ooh,
Is
so-
what I'm seeing. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw a couple people post it. It's the white with the red stripe on the side.
I love that one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the gold rims. So
Yeah.
that's that one I think is pretty hot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think we all agree on that one for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, the Hakosuka is pretty sick, especially the silver one.
Yeah.
I want to see that one come out because I haven't even seen it here at all. So,
Wait, what silver one?
Yeah, exactly. Which one are you talking about?
oh, I'm just making stuff up, guys. Speaking of that, something I hear our fans on social media talk a lot about is like, say for example, if I'll post this car or this figure here and there, I'll have a lot of people who will say like, I've been to this store, I've been to that store, I can't find it anywhere. No matter how early I get there, how late I get there, I'll wait from month to month. I still cannot find it. I know that is the current wave that is out. But do you have any advice, whether it's practical or also impractical, to our fans as to how they cannot be late to the party? Like particularly, say for example, in the Fast and Furious line, every time I post up for Grand National, there's like a lot of people who are saying, I can't find this anywhere. And I'm like, hey, I'm sorry, it's out.
Yeah.
But,
Well, it's tough because like some stores don't put everything out right when it's supposed to come out. Sometimes they sit in the warehouse and then it just waits until they have room on the shelf to put them out, and so it comes out late a lot of the times. But from what I think, the best way to do it is to join those Facebook groups. Those guys will. They're more than willing to trade, sell, help you out. Like these guys, it's a pretty awesome community. If
I'm not even aware of these.
yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of these, like especially the metals guys. They're really really helpful when it comes to trying to get everyone what they want. So some people will even go to the store and say, hey, I found 6 of these figures, and buy all of them. Who needs them? So they make sure that they're helping their fellow collectors, get what they need.
Okay, that's what I'm talking about.
It's like, yeah, it's
Well,
an
unity
official
in the community.
Yeah, it's
exactly.
an official group started by actually core
Fans.
Jada fans, which is cool. Yeah, I would echo that same sentiment. Yes, a lot of the times it is just dependent on, just it's from store to store. And I think when you're talking about availability, there's just so many different factors that go into that. And while we do everything that we can on our end to make it as easy as possible, we understand that just the reality of the sheer amount of people, that are after these things. It's just, it's hard. It's tough. And the important thing that I want to stress too is that we do see it, we do feel it on our end. And it's just because we want to make sure that we're doing everything in our power or in our control to be able to
Got some
offer
technical malfunctions here.
Brian, but
Damn it, Brian.
I think we want to make sure that we are doing everything that we can to be able to give people the opportunity to get what they want, right?
Yeah.
But again, going back to my point, like there's just some things that are out of our control. I will say that we are working on the back end. I think when you're talking about e-commerce and digital wise, that we're looking into different things to try and make that experience a little bit better, a little bit easier for people to find what it is exactly that they're looking for. I can't speak to it yet, but we are working on that.
yeah. And in the meantime, though, you can also go to our jadatoys.com site and look at our where to buy. And there's a lot of online retailers that sell our stuff. I don't want to name specific people and sites, but there's a good amount of information there that you can use to help you get that kind of stuff. Another thing is, we realize also that some people live in areas where like there's only one Walmart or one Target, and if they don't carry it, it's like we don't have control over that. But you can talk to the managers and see if they have them in the back, and if you are, cool enough to them, and they take a liking to you, they may be even open it for you so you can get the first dibs to see what's in there. And I know a lot of people who do that out here because it's the collecting game is cutthroat, man. I mean,
It really is.
Yeah. There's people waiting outside of the Walmart right here near our office for it to open so they can rush over to the toy section and look at what they put on shelf overnight.
Yeah, just push over an old lady, get out of my way.
It's Black Friday every day, dude.
Oh man,
Yeah,
It's crazy, but that's how it is. It is cutthroat.
well, like it's kind of funny how this community, it's a mixture of cutthroat,
Yeah.
but it's also super close knit.
Yeah.
At the same time.
Well, that's why I like the online
Passive
guys.
aggressive,
It's like, oh man, I went to the store and I couldn't find what I wanted. So let me go ask really nicely these guys over here on the internet and see if they can help me out.
Yeah.
and then let me bash Jada online.
Yeah. Exactly. But it's that's part of the fun, and for the people who do live in those more rural areas that don't have a lot of retailers that have this stuff, I say get it online. It's like Christmas every day whenever something comes from the mail.
It really is.
It's
So easy.
Yeah.
So easy.
Yeah, exactly. And also we're also we're ramping up our Amazon
Big
as
time.
well.
Big time.
Right. So, keep an eye out on our Amazon pages and maybe pick up stuff from there.
Yeah.
Okay. So, a little fantasy portion, because I feel like as collectors, we all have our fantasies of things that we would like to acquire someday. Oh, there we go. Anyways, so what are some maybe brands or licenses that we would hope to be able to acquire someday?
This would be interesting to hear from a product side.
Definitely. For those of you who don't know, well, Mike is actually in charge of product development, and so everything that you like or don't like, it's his fault.
Yeah, that's why I don't read any of this.
He stays off
That's
Instagram.
why I don't accept any of your friend requests. No, that's a tough one because
There's so many.
There's so much. I mean,
These are tough questions.
It
today.
is, yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, we do want like the Star Wars, you know, we do want that kind of stuff. It's there. I want to do. I'd love to do because this is my era. It's like GI Joe or Voltron or Macross. That's me. Robotech. I mean, that's what I would love.
Now
to
you're
do.
showing your age.
Yeah, dude. I'd love to do all that stuff, but it for our market, it just doesn't make sense right now. But those are probably like my top would probably be Robotech.
Yeah.
And then like Voltron. If we can do Voltron. Voltron is popular, but I like the classic. The new cartoon is awesome, but I just. I'm just partial to the stuff I grew up with.
Same for me. Yeah, but I grew up with Pokemon. I grew up with Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah.
And so those would probably be the two that I would love to see personally, just because, again, it's just going to keep bringing back nostalgia.
Yeah.
Both are still going pretty strong today.
Yeah.
Just like different iterations.
They've just been lasting forever, though. I mean,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z's got an upcoming movie at the end of this year.
Yep.
They just wrapped up, their new series, Dragon Ball Super.
I still have to watch that.
Yeah, the English dub version is catching up.
All right,
they
good.
just ended the Japanese version, but that's Dragon Ball Z, and you're talking all the different variations of the characters in that show. It goes on for days. They're always having some sort of new transformation. And as someone that's into fitness, Goku and Vegeta are goals, even though they're not real characters, but
The concepts are real. You know, I feel like the coolest thing about Dragon Ball Z, within us being into fitness, is that they didn't just have these people.
not us.
That's why I'm facing.
Us.
Facing this way anyway. But like the coolest thing about in Dragon Ball Z was that they had to train to get to where they were. It wasn't just like this automatic thing. It was a day in, day out. Well, they would go into that chamber where like the gravity was like 10,000 pounds or something, and they would just train their asses off.
Not only that, it's just they were already strong.
Yeah.
And to continue to push themselves beyond, right? That's motivation for me right there.
Mentality. When you have everything already, but you
keep
but
pushing.
You're never satisfied. Yeah.
Yeah. So Dragon Ball Z for sure, and Pokemon's still going. The show. I know they did some redesigns and things like that, which I don't know really how I feel about it. But there's nothing quite like the OG Pokemon. I think when you're talking about the first, 150?
Yeah.
Or something like, you have your 3 starters and who they evolved to, and then you have your icon and like Pikachu and all that stuff. I don't know. I just think it'd be so cool to just do something with both of those. Those two would be my picks, like no question.
I think for me, on like the business side, it would be kind of cool if we got into like NBA or like the NFL and make like figures out of them.
We did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
NBA.
Oh, okay. Well, I've only been
For a
here for
minute.
less than a year.
Yeah. No, yeah, it was like literally like in and out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it's really difficult to do sports figures because they change teams so often nowadays. There's no franchise players as
We'll
much.
get dated kind of.
Yeah.
too,
Well, I mean, like for example, LeBron. If we were to start LeBron, if we knew LeBron was going to go to Lakers, like you thought, like what, a year and a half.
I called that a year, 2 years ago. People thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
Now laugh at me.
Profit.
Yeah. So if we started it back then and we're able to release it now, we'd make a killing.
Yeah.
But because he moves around, like if we were to do a Cleveland one, which we did, now that he's gone, it's his nobody really wants that figure anymore.
Right.
The other factor to that too is sometimes when you're talking to some of the teams, they want you to do the entire team, as opposed to maybe just 2 or 3 of the players. So that's kind of challenging too.
Yeah, I gotta show everybody love.
Yeah. So that's another factor in it.
And I might not love everybody.
True.
Yeah.
Well, then I think on the figure side for me, I would really love it if we did something for Yu-Gi-Oh.
Ooh,
That's another classic.
I like that too.
Yeah.
Hey, we're in 2018. When are we gonna get some hologram discs?
Yeah. You know, it's funny because as kids, I feel like all of these cartoons, well, they would say like the year 2020 at first.
Yeah.
And there would be like all these futuristic
It'd be
flying
like
cars.
it'd be like the year 2002, and then in the show it'd be like year 2020 or
Yeah.
something.
And I was
Yeah.
like, I'll be 25 by that year. Yes, I'm gonna have a flying car.
Yeah.
We ain't got no flying cars, man.
Yeah.
But Yu-Gi-Oh would be a pretty cool one. And then I feel like on the vehicle side, I'd really love it if we got maybe like McLaren or Koenigsegg, things like that. I really love McLaren, and they're putting out some really cool stuff lately.
Stay tuned.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about that. I'm not that important here, guys.
Yeah. In vehicles, if we could do my truck.
If we could do my oh wait,
We're not even
just
about
had
to get started with Daryl.
Right.
Another thing I would love for us to do in the future is kind of have maybe a dedicated, European line, but like it's not too up there in the hypercars, but maybe like have a space for like the AMG style of Mercedes, the M classes of BMW, stuff like that. I'd really love to see that.
We had a line called Eurospec for a little while there. It was under the Dub City line. And that's where it was. We had, M3, we had AC Schnitzer, we had Mercedes, we had BMWs, Porsches. There was a bunch of stuff in there that was good.
that's what I'd love to see.
Yeah.
Porsche.
Yeah.
Any of the GT cars.
I mean, we did have it for a while, but to bring it back, I would love to do the newer stuff.
Yeah. So
I mean,
for vehicles, that's my answer.
That's actually
Porsche.
That's actually pretty strong. I'd love to do that.
Yeah, especially with that new the GT2 RS starting to come out.
Any of them.
Any of 'em.
Yeah.
GT2 RS, GT3 RS, GT3. Sign me up.
I'm a 918 guy.
You're
you're
just
just like
you're
the-
just a hypercar,
Yeah.
supercar guy.
Yeah, it's kind of my wishful thinking. I'm just kidding. Okay, well, that's pretty much all I have for today, gentlemen.
What do we got on time here?
1 hour, 12 minutes.
1 hour,
This
12
is
minutes.
a long one.
Oh man, another PR.
Yeah.
It's a PR week after week.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So for everyone watching, you could find this podcast on IGTV and also on our YouTube. And you can also stream this on Spotify, iTunes, SoundCloud, and to Google Play. So be sure to like and subscribe, and we will see you next week.
Next week.
See you guys then.
Bye.